Good morning, good morning, good morning. I am Jalon Strong, the Essential Millennial Realtor of Dreams to Keys Realty, and welcome to the Dreams to Keys Realty channel. I am on YouTube and TikTok, so welcome on both platforms. If you're here, please give this video a like, hit the thumbs up on YouTube, tap the screen on TikTok. Today, we're going to be talking about how to buy a home with zero money down. So if that's something that would interest you or someone you know, you want to like this video and share it. You can also subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and you can follow us on TikTok so that anytime we present any information on the home ownership journey, whether you're looking to buy or sell or even rent to own, that you will be informed of what we're talking about and you'll be in the know about the material that we share. So make sure that you subscribe and follow right now so that you don't miss any of that information in the future. And feel free, if you're on TikTok, to make sure to click the link in the bio, see the YouTube icon and click that, because we're going to be sharing information live on YouTube with me sharing the screen. So if you want to see what I'm sharing, make sure that you go to the bio, click the link in the bio and click the YouTube icon, and that will take you to our live here on YouTube where you can see what I share when I share it. Of course, you can always check that out later in the replay. So as we do with any other live, we start off with a few announcements. The first one is we want you to, if you still can in your area, make sure that you're registered to vote. Make sure that you have done the steps to make sure you have what you need to be able to register to vote in your area. In Georgia, the voting registration deadline has passed. It was October 7th. And I like to point out Georgia because I am a licensed Georgia realtor, and that's why I point out Georgia often. But that deadline has passed. There may be other states that the deadline has not already passed. So if you want to check your status, if you want to register to vote, if you still can, make sure that you go to vote.gov and put in your information there to check your status or to register to vote if you still can. All right. Early voting is my voting plan, and you can also use vote.gov to see your state, your county, and the areas or locations where you can go for early voting so that you can create your voting plan. I have my voting plan, I have my voting date, and I know where I want to go to early vote. So I encourage you to get a voting plan and to early vote if possible. And also just make sure that you check your status. There have been so many topics or so many things discussed about voter suppression, and you want to know where you stand with your voting rights and with your voter registration. So make sure that you do that. That's the first thing we want to point out, and we've been pointing that out on this platform for a few weeks now, so hopefully you all are registered to vote. I see a compliment on here. Hi, you're so pretty. Thank you so much, and thank you for joining the live on TikTok. And as I mentioned, you can also go to our link in the bio and click the YouTube icon, and that will take you to what we'll be presenting today live on YouTube. And you can also click the replay later if you desire. And I thank you so much for the likes. Thank you so much. All right, so the next topic that we want to talk about is our consultation. So we changed the consultation process a bit. So we changed it up to where initially, when we first got on TikTok, for example, we were doing free consultations. Well, the problem with that was people were coming and not remembering that they scheduled the consultation, and essentially they were wasting time because they weren't prepared to have the discussion, and some of them didn't even remember that they did it. So we want people that are serious about home ownership, and we want people who are really looking to be homeowners. So that's why we changed it. And then there was the $15 non-refundable fee. Well, we changed it again, and there is still a $15 fee if you do not show up. So it's free at this point. If you don't show up, there's a no-show fee of $15. So if you want to schedule a consultation with me to discuss your home ownership journey, you can click the link in the bio, go to the tab that says Let's Talk. That is our consultation link. It will show you available dates. Click any of those dates, click available times schedule it, it will warn you or tell you about the $15 no-show fee. So it'll ask you for information there, and you can go ahead and schedule. That is a designated time for a one-on-one discussion with me for at least 1 hour, talking about what it would mean if we both work together toward your home ownership journey. So if you are interested in being a homeowner, whether you are looking to currently buy or sell or even rent to own, we have lenders that help with all of these steps. Make sure that you go to that link. So click the link in the bio, click the link that says, or the tab that says, Let's Talk, and it will take you to our site where you can book a scheduled time or specific time with me. All right. So that is a newest change that we've done within the past week. So I wanted to let everyone know about that. Thank you, Jessica, for joining. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. So the next thing we're going to do each week, because we do these weekly lives, we're going to have a link in the bio highlight of the week. And the highlight of the week is the tab that says NAF, which stands for New American Funding, which is one of our preferred lenders. We have a contact with that preferred lender, and that is our link in the bio highlight of the week. So that tab will take you to a process where you can start communicating with that preferred lender. They'll get information from you. They'll also know when you click that link that you've encountered me in some way, whether you've just seen our YouTube or TikTok links and click the link in the bio. So they'll know kind of how you found them by who you found as a realtor first. And then you can take steps to even begin your process to apply for a loan if that is where you're looking to move. So if that's the step that you want to take to buy a home, then you can start the application process with them as well. One of the things that I point out about them is that they have grant programs. So a lot of times when we think of lenders, we automatically think of loans. But with this particular preferred lender, they have grant programs. So you'll see in the comment section or the subtitle of that tab in the link in the bio for them that it says, ask them about grant programs. So that's one of the highlights that they have. Is something I think really helps a lot of people with the home ownership journey. Getting grant money is always a good thing because grants are not like loans. You're not expected to pay a grant fund. You're not expected to pay grant funding back. So check them out if you're interested in the home ownership journey. That is another step to get you started, getting to that pre-approval, all of those things. So that is the link in the bio highlight of the week, the New American Funding tab for our preferred lender. All right, so today we're going to be talking about, thank you to pause for a minute. We're going to talk about how to buy a home with zero money down. So what I will need to do is share my screen. So for those of you that are on TikTok, I'm sharing my screen on YouTube. So if you want to see in live time what I'm sharing, then you will want to go to YouTube. To go to YouTube, you can click the link in the bio and click the YouTube icon. All right. Make sure that you subscribe, hit the thumbs up, tap the screen. Let's see some likes. Leave comments in the comment sections. You can put your questions there as well. And let's see. I had a poll on TikTok I wanted to show. Not seeing it on here. But if you are someone who's interested in home ownership, let's see those comments in the comment section. So give me a 1 if you're looking to be a homeowner anytime within the next year. Put that in the comment section. All right, so we're going to share the screen. Today, we're going to be talking about one particular loan program. In the description on YouTube, you can see there are others that we're going to talk about as we talk about this series, because I realized that we can't talk about everything in this one video. There's just too much for one program. And there are several programs out there. There are some from the federal government, and there are some that I'll talk about just related to Georgia as state programs. So I want to give each one its time. So today we're going to be talking about the USDA single family home loan guarantees, and that is a part of their home loan program. I'm going to show a fact sheet for them. And if you're on TikTok, you may be familiar with this because it's one of the reels or videos or shorts that I put on TikTok some time ago, and it got a lot of attention. And so because of that, I felt like that was the best one to start with. And so that's what we'll go through live today on YouTube and TikTok. Make sure that you check out the live or the replay. All right, so let's get to sharing the screen. All right, one moment. All right, so hopefully now everyone can see the fact sheet on YouTube. If you can or cannot, let me know in the comments. On TikTok, unfortunately, you can't see it on this screen. We already did a video on our page about this program, but if you want to see it live, make sure that you go to the link in the bio, click the YouTube icon, and get to our live so you can see what I'm sharing. Okay, so this is the USDA's single family home loan program. That's probably something you've heard me say before if you've been on TikTok. But this is the exact fact sheet that I pulled from their website. So USDA is the US government's Department of Agriculture, and this is the Rural Developments section. So we're going to talk about this single family home loan guarantee or guarantees for their program. This is not the only loan option they provide. This is the one that we're just pulling to talk about because there are people that, as far as clients that I attract, that are looking for single family homes. So we're going to talk about that. Let's get some basis here. We're going to go through both pages of this fact sheet, but we're going to get a basis understanding of what they're expecting and what it is that would qualify, not just you, but the home itself. So we're going to talk about the steps to apply, how to meet that criteria, how to get started, what are the requirements, what do you need, what do you need to provide, what do you need to get ready, when does this open? Does it close? We're going to talk about all those things, okay? So right now, when you go on their website that I pulled this fact sheet from, the applications are being accepted and it's open year long. So that's another thing that's important to know, and it's good to know if you're interested in this program. Now, because this is a rural development program, we're going to be talking about rural areas. So that's opposite of urban areas, which are like your cities and towns, which are more populated. Our rural areas are more countryside, but the programs that the USDA puts out details those areas. So they'll have different links within this fact sheet that you can go to and see what areas they qualify as rural areas. So that's another thing to just point out about this. Now let's go from the left to the right. So we're going to start at the left. What does this program do? So this is a 100% finance, no money down mortgage loan to eligible low and moderate income applicants. So a lot of people really don't believe when we say no money down, but the program itself has that as its first sentence to describe it. It is 100% financed, no money down mortgage loan option to those who are considered low and moderate income applicants that meet the eligibility requirements. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. We'll see that a little bit more in other sections, but that is something to know if you qualify, that you can get 100% financing with this loan option if, of course, you're looking to live in a rural area that meets their qualifications. So this is backed by the USDA Rural Development. And let's just pause a minute and talk about the USDA because they are doing a number of different things. So they are doing a lot of things and they have a lot of priorities. 4 priorities that they have on their website that I just want to mention. So one is that they advance racial justice, equity, and opportunity. They also look to address climate change. They're dealing with disaster relief, resources, and all those things. So that's another thing, because we just had 2 hurricanes back to back. They're having some involvement there on the federal level. They're tackling food and nutrition insecurity, and they're looking to provide more, better, and new market opportunities. So the USDA does a lot. This is a federal government sector. They're doing a lot. And one of the things that they do is provide loans and grants toward different things like home ownership. So that's just something to think about, that they're doing many other things. They have a lot of things under their umbrella that they're covering, but they are providing home loan options and programs to those that are looking to live in rural areas. So I wanted to point that out. So backed by the USDA Rural Development, the 90% loan note guarantee encourages lender participation by helping them minimize risk. I wanted to specify that because a lot of people confuse a lender versus the USDA program. So the USDA has its own program, but they utilize lenders to help minimize the risk. So when we say, as we'll talk about what the program says and what a lender might ask you, the program may have certain stipulations, but the lender may have more strict stipulations. So they have lenders that are qualified to minimize the risk and to help them find applicants for their loan program. The lender may have stricter terms or more strict terms than the loan program itself. So I wanted to point that out. It's kind of said here, but I wanted to mention it here, and I'll mention it again once we get to that portion. But just know that lenders are involved, and the lender may have more strict criteria than the loan program itself. So when we talk about credit scores, we're going to get to the section where you see that there is no set credit score limit. And you can see that already if you're looking at the screen that I'm sharing. But when we get to talking about the lender might have a credit score requirement they want you to meet because they have to minimize the risk. And that is the expectation of the USDA to the lender. So the USDA program may say, I'm leaving that to the lender to figure out the credit requirement they might need to minimize the risk for each potential homeowner. The program itself does not have that credit limit. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. If that makes sense, give me some hearts. Let's see some likes. If it doesn't make sense, put it in the comments. Let me know. I'll address it, try to clarify that as best as I can. But hopefully that made sense. All right, so let's go on further down. Still on the far left column, with a single family housing guaranteed loan, applicants can buy an existing home, including the cost of rehabilitating, improving, or relocating the dwelling, or they can build new. The home must be used as their primary residence and must be modest, decent, safe, and sanitary. So when I read that, that comes across that there's no limitation on the type of home. It can be new or existing, but what the bottom part of that reads as is it's not considered luxury. It's saying modest, decent, and safe. So it's probably looking at some minimal necessities, probably not your luxury type home. But I won't be the final say on that. Of course, this is a USDA federal program. So them, along with the lenders, can kind of make that decision on what the home needs to look like or the stipulations for that. But that's just something to note. So you could move the home, you could be relocating it, you could be fixing it up, it could be new, it could be used or existing, but it must be your primary residence for you to qualify for this home. This program is not restricted to first-time home buyers. So that's encouraging for those of you who have already purchased a home before. And this is just, maybe you've decided to live in a different area. Maybe you were living in an urban area, but now you want to live in more of a rural area and you have plans for different things for your life, your family. that's encouraging. It's not just limited, or it's not limited to any type of buyer, be it first time or someone who's already bought a home before. So that's encouraging. All right, let's go back to the top. Who can apply? Applicants must have a household income that does not exceed 115% of the median household income of the area in which the eligible house is located. So information is provided with a PDF link here at this section. So there is an income restriction, and that is based on the area and the household income percent, or the median household income of that area. So to know a specific area, you would need to go to that link and make sure that you check that median household income versus yours to see if you qualify. So that's going to be an individual basis. That's not something that someone just not knowing your situation or knowing where you want to live can answer for you. You kind of have to know where you're looking to live, if it meets that requirement of being a rural area to this program, and then seeing what your median income or the median household income in that area is. So that's one of the requirements for any applicant. The next is to agree to occupy the dwelling as their primary residence. We just spoke about that in the other section. Be a U.S. citizen, U.S. non-citizen, national, or qualified alien as defined in Public Law 104-193, Subtitle A, Sections 401-2404. And there is a link available for all of that. So I won't get into citizenship and all of that on this channel, but if you're questioning if you qualify, click the link in that section. So you can see the overall PDF link, and you can go to USDA.gov to get to their site in general and look for the single family home loan guarantee or the fact sheet, and you can get to this information. The next applicant requirement is to be unable to get conventional financing with no private mortgage insurance. So let me go up because I want to make sure I'm saying this correctly. Okay, applicants must be unable to get conventional financing with no private mortgage insurance. So to me, that would involve a lender already, because how do you know if you can't get conventional funding had you not already spoken with a lender? So lenders are involved in this process. So if, like we highlighted today in our link in the bio highlight of the week, then you could get started with one of our preferred lenders to see if you could get conventional financing. So this is for those who cannot. So again, this program is for low and moderate income applicants. So they may not qualify for conventional funding. And that's with no private mortgage insurance. So maybe even if you qualify for conventional financing, but you needed to have private mortgage insurance with that, looks like you could qualify here as well. But we're going to leave it to the lenders and USDA to decipher who can with those specifics. But reading this, to me, that's what it sounds like. All right, so the applicants must not be suspended or debarred from participation in federal programs. I'm not sure how you get suspended or debarred. You would have had to, or alleged to be, in my mind, have done something illegal. So if you've ever been suspended or debarred from participation in federal programs, and it doesn't say it has to be a home loan program, it just says federal programs, then you would not meet this eligibility criteria. All right, so that was all that they have there for the applicants. Now let's talk about the properties. What types of properties are eligible? We kind of talked about that a little bit when we looked at the section to the left, but one of the things that highlights it all is that the home must be located in an eligible rural area. And there's a link here on the fact sheet that helps you to determine if the property is in that eligibility map. So that would be the reference you will want to use, or the lender and the home program from the USDA will use to determine if the home itself is meeting the criteria based on its location. The second part here is it must be a single family dwelling. This includes detached, attached, planned urban development, condominium, modular, and manufactured homes. So again, this is for single family dwellings, not multifamily, but single family dwellings. That's just based on the program that we're looking at. That's not to say that they don't have other programs for other types of properties, but just looking at this specific program, it's just for single family. And as you see, it covers a variety of property types. So if you're looking at a single family dwelling in a rural area, it's looking very favorable here that this program could be a zero money down option for you. Existing dwellings must meet U.S. housing and urban development standards found in its single family housing policy handbook. All right, so there's a link there for existing dwellings. We won't go too much into that. There is no set maximum purchase price. Loans are based on an applicant's repayment ability. And I think that's not a finished sentence. Let me see. Okay. Okay, it is a finished sentence. All right, so there's no maximum purchase price. Okay, so on one end, when we discussed the first left column, it said modest, and I'm gonna go back to it. On the left here, it said the home must be used as their primary residence and must be modest, decent, safe, and sanitary. So that to me means that it's not super luxury in my mind, not super luxury. Maybe it's not, everything wowing in the property. I don't know how else to describe what I'm thinking, but there's no maximum purchase price as well, but the loans are based on the applicant's repayment abilities. So that sounds like credit. Sounds like your credit worthiness to me. So you don't have a limit of how much they will 100% back. Let's go back to the top where it said that. 100% financed, no money down mortgage loans to eligible low and moderate income applicants. And we discussed what the applicants must have. So for them to pay 100% and there be no maximum purchase price sounds pretty darn amazing to me. All right, so all things looking pretty good here. So far we know it needs to be in a rural area. There's an income restriction. There is a property restriction being that it must be single family. We know that the lenders must help the USDA program to minimize risk. So we already know credit is involved because we also saw that the loan is based on the applicant's credit worthiness or repayment ability. So we learned all of this stuff from the 2 columns in the fact sheet that we're reviewing. And just to remind you, coming on in, I see Kim. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So we are looking at a fact sheet from the USDA. We're looking at the single family home loan guarantees, which is the fact sheet for one of their loan programs where there is zero money down. So if you want to see that, make sure that you go to the link in the bio, click that link, click the YouTube icon and get to our YouTube page so you can see what we're sharing. Now we're still in that property section, almost done. There are no set acreage limits, although acreage must be considered common for the area. So that's another benefit. No acreage limits, no maximum purchase price. It's sounding pretty amazing. Now, there are no seasoning requirements. This means that provided they are otherwise eligible, flip properties are allowed. So a lot of times with seasoning, there's a desire to make sure that the home kind of settles between the purchase. That's not just purchased and then sold immediately. So that's the seasoning they're mentioning there. So that's why flip properties are also mentioned in the explanation. So flipped properties can be included here as well. It just needs to stay in the rural area, in their limits, and also be a single family home for this program. All right, so let's look at some primary applicant qualifications. So income is the first one up. Income borrowers must demonstrate stable and dependable income for repayment qualification. Minimum income history requirements depend on the income source. So a lot of times when we talk about buying a home, we want to see at least 2 years of consistent income within the same line of work. So even if you were to change jobs, the lenders typically want to see that you stay within the same line of work and there's a stability of the income that's being brought in, that it's not fluctuating. And also, if you own a business or you don't work for someone, there are some that the lender will review your income to see stability throughout there. So that's what I think is pretty standard across any program, whether you're looking to use this program or any other, is your income will be assessed for stability. And that's because we talked about risk earlier. So anyone that's giving you 100% toward your home purchase wants to make sure that they have some soundness or security in knowing that you have money to pay your mortgage or what have you, so that you have money to cover your expenses. So even if they're paying 100%, whatever else is left, they want to make sure that the home or this process does not fold. So stable income is pretty standard, I think, and the lender will help to assess that as well. Assets, no down payment or reserves are required. Again, we saw that with the first section. This is 100% finance, no money down. All right, so you don't really need to worry about putting anything down for this program, okay? And that's the highlight of this video and the next couple of videos. Credit, although there is no set credit score requirement. Now, this ties everybody up. I feel like this trips everyone up when it comes to this program. Although there is no set credit score requirement, applicants must demonstrate a willingness and ability to repay debts. This is a loan. Though it is 100% financed, it is a loan. There is a repayment process. So, like any other lender or program, they're looking to make sure that you can repay it. The program does not have a set credit requirement. They entrust the lenders, as it says here, lenders can assess alternative credit for applicants with no traditional credit. So the lender is assessing your credit worthiness and your ability to repay your debts to determine if they would risk this program and you as an applicant. Does that make sense? So though the loan program itself does not have a credit score requirement, or it doesn't even say here that, and we'll get to other factors, but there is no, like a lot of people want to see the number itself. They want to see an actual credit score number when it comes to the program. And there are people that have said, well, I reached out to a lender and they said I needed at least a 680. That's because that lender is trying to do their due diligence to make sure that you are not too overwhelmed with your debts and assets to also take on this one. That's the lender's job. That's essentially what they do. They want to make sure that you get the home you desire, but that you're not house poor and that you're able to pay for the loan. This is a loan. This is not a grant. Even though it's wonderful that it's zero down and it's 100% financed, there is a repayment process. So that's the lender's job. So I think a lot of people get tied in on the credit part here, and I just wanted to give a bit of time to discuss that, because I feel like people assume that when someone says there's no credit score for this program, and then a lender says, I need you to have a 680, that there was some deception there. And that's not the case. That is the lender's job. The lender is supposed to make sure that you are of minimum risk when you are applying to any program. They have to minimize risk, and the lender is doing the job that the USDA in this case wants them to do. As we see on the left side, they look for lender participation by helping them minimize risk. So it's not that the program itself has a credit score limit. It's that the lender has a job to do to make sure that the risk is minimized. I hope that makes sense. So if you ever want to apply for this loan program and your lender says, I need you to get your credit score to this point, just know that that is their job. that's what we expect them to do. We expect the lenders to help make sure we don't have another housing crisis, right? And that's a part of their job. They have to assess for credit worthiness. That's not what the loan program specifically states as far as their score requirement. They don't have a set score requirement. They expect for lenders to do that part. So they give that permission to the lenders to assess credit worthiness, credit scores, and make their own determination if there needs to be a credit requirement for their applicants. Does that make sense? If it makes sense, let's see some hearts, let's see some likes, let's see some thumbs up on YouTube. Put comments in the comment section if that does not make any sense to you, and maybe I can help break it down even more. All right. And so also with credit, just to note, they also mentioned that they let the lenders determine alternative credit for those that don't have traditional credit. If you don't have traditional income or traditional credit, there are ways that the lenders can help to make sure that you meet the requirements, or they work with this program to see if you can get this loan option. So lenders are doing a lot here, and we don't give lenders enough credit for how much they are assisting in the home buying process and keeping our housing market afloat. They are really doing phenomenal work. So we really thank our lenders, and we want them to do this. We want them to make sure that each home, each loan program, each option is vetted. We want that. Monthly housing payment, adjusting for eligible compensation factors, total payment, principal, interest, taxes, insurance, homeowners association dues, and rural development annual fee cannot exceed 34% of the applicant's gross monthly income. So we have to find the home. We have to make sure that it's within its eligibility requirements. And we need to find out what fees come with the home. What would it cost monthly to have this home? And then what is that percentage based on that applicant's gross monthly income? So there's a lot of things to factor in here, which is why we really need our lenders to make sure that we're ready for this when we apply for this type of loan, if that's what you're seeking. So it cannot exceed 34% of the applicant's gross, which is not being net, it's being gross. That gives some leeway there. So it cannot exceed 34% of the applicant's gross monthly income. Now, all monthly debt payments shown on the applicant's credit report, including the proposed new mortgage payment, cannot exceed 41% of the applicant's gross monthly income, adjusting for eligible compensating factors. So if you had to look at your monthly housing payment and your monthly debt, we're looking at 34% with the monthly, it cannot exceed 34% for the monthly housing payments. And then for the monthly debt payments, it cannot exceed 41%. And this is both for the applicant's gross monthly income. So there's not much difference between those percentages. That's about 7%. So what that's saying is your debt needs to be pretty tailored down, because that's about what, 7% difference between those two, and this is still just looking at monthly numbers. So this really indicates that you would have to have a good handle on your debt, because they're comparing your debts on a monthly basis to your gross monthly income. And there are some restrictions on how much you would be paying monthly for your housing payments and monthly toward debt payments. Should those exceed those numbers, we're looking at issues with qualification for this loan. So those are some things that when lenders ask you about income, employment, all those things, they ask you for pay stubs sometimes, they want to assess for these things. And they're going to, especially if you come to them and say, I want to pursue this program, and they may, on the flip side, other times they may say, hey, there is a program out there that you qualify for. We're going to assess if you meet the eligibility requirements, and they can ask for documents to support that. So, and another thing this points out to me, home ownership association dues, let me know in the chat, are there many homeowner associations that you know of in rural areas? And I ask that because my clientele and my personal experience is more in urban areas, but in rural areas, are there home ownership associations? It seems like the properties are distant more so. So would there be a need for that? It's in this document, so I just thought about it, but let me know if you know if that is something you've experienced, homeowner associations in rural areas. All right. The next section here is seller or interested party contributions cannot exceed 6% of the sales price. So any contributions that the seller would make if you're buying an existing home, or even if it's a builder, it cannot exceed 6%. So that's something that it's great to get information with your team, the lender, and the realtor, so that when the realtor goes to make an offer, or you're having discussion with your realtor about making an offer in preparation to get an executed contract with the seller, that the seller knows we're using this home loan option. And you may not say it, the realtor may not say it in that way, but you can't accept it to use this home loan option if the seller's contribution exceeds the 6% of the sales price. So that's something to note. That's something that lender and realtor need to have on their mind before it becomes an executed contract, else it might need to be renegotiated if this stipulation is not met. And that's something when you work with a team, when you have preferred lenders as a realtor, we've had discussions with our preferred lenders, and that's something they'll say to us, hey, when you go in to purchase a home, you have to make sure that it cannot exceed 6% of the sales price of any seller concessions or contributions, because we're trying to use this home loan option. It's the best option for your client right now. So that's the benefit of having a team. When we say have a home team, a dream team, that's what we mean. We don't just have preferred lenders for no reason. We have some type of rapport there, and we have communication when we have clients that are looking to buy homes. And that's something I could definitely see my lender saying to me, hey, we're trying to pursue this home loan with this client. The seller cannot contribute more than 6% of the sales price for them to meet criteria or eligibility for this home loan. So make sure that you work that into the deal. So things are said in the background with your team so that they can make sure that you get the best benefit. And I don't think that would be a bad conversation to have, knowing that this home loan option is 100% financed, no money down. That is something that I really would need to hone in on and know for my client. All right, let's hurry up. We're going to wrap it up because we try to wrap up around noon. There is no limit on the amount of gift funds an applicant can use. So gift funds, of course, let your lender know if you anticipate receiving gift funds, but there's no limitation from the loan program. Now, we've talked about loan program versus lender, so you definitely want to make sure the lender knows what's going on. How are the loans structured, and how can funds be used? Eligible buyers can purchase an existing eligible dwelling or building new using the USDA combination construction to permanent single close loan program. So there's other options here. So if you needed to fix your home, or you're building a new home, more so building a new home is what's referenced here. There is a loan program with that, and there's a link there here. Current USDA Royal Development borrowers can take advantage of lower rates by using one of Rural Development's refinance options. So there are refinance options, and there's a link there. So there's a lot of help here for this program. The interest rate is negotiated between the applicant and the lender and must be a 30-year fixed rate. That's something to know. So if you were planning to buy a rural home with this loan program, it has to be a 30-year fixed rate. So if 15 was on your mind, you couldn't use it with this one. So that's something to note. The interest rate is determined between the applicant and the lender. So even though this home loan program, and I keep wanting to say it because I've made a video on this for TikTok years, maybe last year, a year or two ago, about this program, and the comments reflect that they didn't quite understand the difference between the home loan and the lender. So that's why when we went over credit, I honed in on that a lot, because I want to make sure that's clear, and I want to make sure it's clear here for interest rates as well. The lender is assessing the interest rate because they're assessing your credit worthiness, right? the home loan program itself is not giving a standard interest rate. There is no standard interest rate with the home program itself that we're discussing. So we're discussing the USDA single family home loan guarantees for their single family home loan program. Their program does not have an interest rate specific to all applicants. That is something they leave the grace to the lender to determine. So credit score, interest rate, income, eligibility, stability, all of that, the lender is assessing, and they're making their best recommendation to you if they present an offer for this with an option that will show minimum risk or minimize risk, okay? So keep that in mind. There's a difference between the program requirements and the credit or lender requirements, excuse me. The program requirements and the lender requirements they could be totally different. The home loan program is pretty open. The creditor, or I don't know why I keep saying creditor, the lender can be more strict because they really have the job of minimizing the risk. And that is what the USDA is looking for them to do. So keep that in mind. There's a difference between what this fact sheet says and what your lender may ask of you. Your lender may ask more strict terms of you to make sure that the risk is minimized, because also let's keep in mind the lender has to keep this relationship with the USDA where they trust them to provide applicants for this program. And if the applicants they're providing default on their loans, then there's a question of, should this lender still be on our lender list for this program? So they have to do a due diligence there. And that's what we want them to do, because we don't want a housing market crash. We don't want issues with the housing market. So lenders have a lot of effect in that. And so that's what we want them to do, essentially. Program lending extends to 100% of the property's appraised value, not the purchase price. So that's another thing that goes into inspections and making sure houses are listed properly, that when you are looking to buy a house, that you are doing your comps. It's probably a little harder to do comps or comparable market analysis information when you're looking at rural properties. I'm not in the rural area, but I know that there are some people that may benefit from this program. So that's why I'm bringing it to light on this platform. But because of the distance between the properties, it may be a little bit more, in my perception, harder to find comparable properties. The properties may not look the same, in urban areas. There's a couple of steps, a few steps between one property to the next, but with rural areas, there could be miles, there could be acres. So those that specialize in that sector as realtors would be great to give more insight on that. But essentially, when we're looking at appraised value, we're not just talking about the inspector, but we're talking about the appraiser. And you want to make sure when you purchase a property that you purchase it not above its appraised value. Otherwise, that applicant or that home buyer, in this case, would have to find those other funds. And many times, especially if you're someone that this application or loan program is describing, you may be low or middle income. And that may not be something that you just have laying around. You don't have those additional funds. So it's important to note that the program is lending based on the appraised value, not the purchase price. So that is something that you'd have to make sure is sound before making an offer, or it might need to be renegotiated between buyer and seller, even if agents are involved as well, because the program is not going to give more than the appraised value itself. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I see we have some new faces. Welcome, Missy and Rosie. Welcome, welcome. Let's see some hearts. Tap that screen. Let's see some hearts. We're talking about buying a home with no money down. Who's doing that this Saturday afternoon? I don't know. You tell me. So let's finish off this fact sheet. We're almost done. In addition to closing costs and eligible repairs, funds can be used for reasonable and customary expenses associated with the purchase, including items such as utilities, connection fees, tax and insurance escrows, essential household equipment, and site preparation. So they will also give funds for repairs, closing costs, and anything that's needed to set up the home for its use. So that's great information there. How do we get started? Interested applicants must work directly with approved USDA rural development lenders. So every lender is not an approved lender. They have a link on here that will take you to the approved lenders list. Sometimes, just like as real estate agents, we move from brokerage to brokerage depending on where we are or what's going on with us or our business. The mortgage broker or mortgage banker, they may decide to move from their companies as well. So that happened with one of our preferred lenders. One of our preferred lenders was up under the USDA, up under a lender who was on this list. And then that person moved to another company. So that happens from time to time, but the USDA has provided their lender list. And that's how you can see who knows about this program, who has the approval with the USDA to pursue this program. It's not just any lender. So that's something to note, and they have that linked here. Who can answer questions? Essentially, they're saying that the lender can. An approved lender can answer questions. A state-based list is provided at the link. So that's a similar link, or it's actually the same link as above. And if there's more questions, there's an email there. And that's for those that are interested in becoming approved lenders. So a lender can apply to become one. And then what governs this program? So they mentioned 7 CFR Part 3555, and there's a link there that sets forth policies for the USDA Rural Development Single Family Housing Guaranteed Loan Program. So that's how that is linked. I won't go into any of the governing of this program, but there are links there. There's also one for HB-1-3555. It's linked there as well. It's the technical handbook, and this provides rural development staff and participating approved lenders the tools needed to effectively and efficiently originate, underwrite, and service loans. All right, so who or why does USDA Rural Development do this? The program encourages approved lenders to partner with low and moderate income families in eligible rural areas to make home ownership a reality. In turn, this promotes prosperity, creating thriving communities and improving rural quality of life. So if that's something that's a goal for you, that's something that they want to help with. This is their way of helping improve home ownership and making it more real for more people. And that's applauded. I think that's great information. And this is a great program for those that qualify. Now let's look at what other options are available. USDA Rural Development also offers a single-family housing direct loan program, and there's a link there that provides payment assistance to qualified applicants for households with incomes below 80% of the median household income for their region. Applicants must not be able to qualify for the single-family housing guaranteed loan program. They can work with their state-based rural development office to apply. So there's a link there as well. So there's an alternative program if applicants don't meet the requirements for this program, which is great news as well. There is a tool here, a property and income eligibility tool that is also linked here. So I think this was good information. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Hopefully that was great information that you all could use, that you all, if you are interested in the rural development program here, the single family home loan program. Hopefully this was great information for you. Let me see some thumbs up. Let's give the video a like. Put comments down if you have questions. Make sure that you put them in the comment section. We'll get to them as we see them. And also on TikTok, thank you all for joining. I'll be wrapping up just shortly, but I wanted to make sure we'll use this as a series. So this is the first program that we'll talk about. We'll talk about different ones weekly. But I wanted to make sure that people know when we say zero money down, what we're talking about. And there are some people that don't believe that. So I like to bring it up black and white, show you what's on the websites. Everyone doesn't know what they don't know. And we don't know things until we're exposed to them, and then we come into knowing. So now I hope you come into knowing that there is a program with the federal government, specifically the U.S. Department of Agriculture Rural Development Section, that will help those that are looking to live in rural areas in single family homes in particular with this loan to receive 100% financing, no money down for their home purchase. The home does not have to be a new home. It can be an existing home, but for this particular loan, it needs to be a single family home. There are some income restrictions. There are some debt monthly payment restrictions. There are some restrictions on the type of home, like we said, single family. But all in all, even if you don't qualify for this one, they have an alternative loan program with the USDA. The point that I wanted to bring out throughout reading the fact sheet is that a lot of the decision is made at the base with the lender. The lender is reviewing credit. They're determining interest rates. They're determining if you meet eligibility based on your income and how stable it is. Even if you have non-traditional employment, or maybe you are a business owner and you have non-traditional forms of income, the lender is working hard in this process to make sure that you not only meet this requirement, but they're having to communicate with us as realtors or real estate agents to make sure that when we formulate the deal for you to buy your home, that we're not doing a disservice to you. So one of the things we talked about in the fact sheet was that the seller's contribution cannot exceed 6% of the sales price, that the loan program is based off of 100% of the appraised value. So as realtors, we have to do our job to make sure that we're doing a comparative market analysis, that we're communicating effectively throughout the deal to make sure the seller doesn't cross that threshold of the contribution level. There are so many things that come into place when buying a home and when using a program. So make sure that when a lender certain things of you, that you don't take it as this is what the home loan program is asking of you. For example, we saw in the fact sheet that the loan program says there is no set credit score requirement. They leave that to the lender. So if the lender asks you for certain things or asks you to provide a credit score of at least 680, that is the lender's way of minimizing risk and maintaining their relationship with the federal government with this loan program. So keep that in mind. You may have different numbers depending on what lender you are using, because that is something that the USDA is leaving to the lender to determine for credit worthiness and to minimize risk. Keep that in mind. So you may hear different numbers. Keep that in mind between different lenders, and they have their own process of making sure that risk is minimized and that you are able to use this loan program in the best way possible. Like I say all the time, my team, including our preferred lenders, we want to make sure that not only you get the home you desire, but that you get it and that you can enjoy it, that you're not dreading all of the expenses that come with it. So we have to assess for assets, debts, liabilities. We have to assess for all those things. And the lender is tasked with that more so than the real estate agent, because they are the financial experts. And as a realtor, I have some additional credentials, and realtors can get credentials also with the National Association of Realtors. And so I have some knowledge, but ultimately the financial expert is the lender. So we lean on them in a great way, not just for this loan program, but overall with our housing market. It is heavy on the lender's end to make sure that we don't have a housing crash. And if we remember, after the pandemic, a lot of people said that we were going to have a housing crash. And what I can say is we have not had one yet since that time. And it's because lenders are doing their due diligence to make sure that there's credit worthiness, risk is minimized, and we're doing what we can to really be responsible with the funding that we have and receive. So hopefully that was great information for you guys. I hope that was something that you were able to gain more understanding about. And just like SAT G29, it is interesting. This is interesting information. Thank you for the comment. So tap that screen. Let's see some hearts. Let's see some likes. Leave a heart, or I'm sorry, thumbs up on YouTube. Thank you for the comment, SAT G29. And also meet us for the next live. We're live weekly. We're live weekly on YouTube and TikTok. So we go on both platforms simultaneously and talk about each topic. This is a series, so we'll have to talk about the next loan program on the next week. And as holidays roll in, we might take a break or two so that everyone enjoys their holidays. Like I said earlier in the beginning, register to vote if you still can in your state. Georgia, that time frame has passed to register to vote, but make sure that you have a voting plan for all those that are registered and seek it out. My voting plan is early voting. I know how to go to vote.gov, find my county, check my status, and see what voting polls I can go to for early voting, and do that as early as October 15th in the state of Georgia. We talked about the link in the bio, highlight of the week, which is our preferred lender, New American Financing. It'll be a logo of NAF. So if you click the link in the bio, you scroll down a little bit, you can see that. We talked about they are not only our preferred lender, but they also have a way to go to the application process that will let that lender know how you came in contact with them and which realtor or real estate agent was able to help you get to them. All right. And they have grant programs. So that's something that's interesting to note. They have grant programs. So we just talked about a loan, but a grant is money that you don't have to pay back should you meet all of the requirements and terms. So they have grant programs. Go to that link in the bio, click that tab, and get started connecting with them. You can also apply for a home loan through that process. So see what option makes sense for you. And of course, if you need to talk with a realtor first, I am a licensed Georgia realtor. And if you're looking to purchase a home in Georgia, then you can talk to me through a consultation or a phone call to our business line. All of that is linked in the bio. And you can, especially if you want to live in Gwinnett, Fulton, or DeKalb counties, schedule a consultation with me. That gives you 1 hour of designated time with me so we can talk about your specific scenario and how, if we decide to work together, how to best do that. All right. So that was a $15 non-refundable fee that has been changed to be free with a $15 no-show fee. So make sure that you're serious before you schedule that consultation and that you show up so that you don't earn any fee afterward. We want to make sure that we are serious about the process, that we're serious about the time we allot to those that are pursuing home ownership, and that's why we made that change. If you are on TikTok, make sure that you go to the link in the bio. You will see our products. So we have various products. We have the hoodies, the crew necks, shirts with black lettering and white lettering. I'm currently wearing the black hoodie. There is a free shipping option on TikTok Shop for our black hoodies and crew necks. I'm sorry, for hoodies in general and crew necks. There are various colors for all of our products. Make sure that you click the link, see the colors, and get free shipping on the hoodies and hoodies and crew necks in the TikTok shop. Tongue-tied a little bit, but there's free shipping on that. And there's different coupons that you may also be able to add, like the $5 coupons and all of that. So make sure that you check out the TikTok shop for the merch that we have. I'll show it to YouTube. My Dreams Have Keys. We make sure that all the keys that you see in the background, we're trying to get to as many keys as we can. And we want to help as many people as we can become homeowners if that's their desire. So let's get to the keys. And as it gets colder, I'm wearing this more and more. So the hoodies and the crew necks, free shipping on TikTok Shop. Check that out. And with that, we will wrap up this live on both platforms. Thank you for joining, and I will see you next week. Make sure that you follow the platform so that you know when we are scheduled for another live, and we'll see you at that time. Hope you have a great weekend.